me.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
That's how I caught you beating on your can.
Tell me in the meeting of beating my can.
Okay.
Beating my can practice. Whoa.
Well, it's this moment in time where been away.
Oh, listen.
Yes.
You have arrived just in the nick of time. Can I invite you to sit down next to me?
I certainly will love to sit next to you.
Bring you into. What are you drinking?
I mean, drinking some pineapple juice.
Pineapple. Me too.
Oh, yeah.
Here's looking at you.
He's looking at you, kid.
I couldn't find a glass, so I put it in a cup.
Okay. I bet
Isn't
yours
that
is
good?
stronger than mine.
I hope so.
Tell me, what is it?
Let me bring you into something.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring you into something that's going to really trip you out.
Oh, so much does.
Okay. As you know, we haven't been at the moment in time for a few moments.
Yes.
Due to circumstances beyond both of our controls.
The honeymoon. Moving right along.
Oh, moving right along. Honeymoon. As you know, from time to time we receive letters, communication from various and odd people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share one with you that I received from Brother Saul. Okay. We have several other people who are saying, hey, I like your little stuff and what you're doing and blah, blah, blah.
I thought it was from Willie West.
Huh?
I thought it was from Willie West.
No, this is from a brother. Okay, Willie West is somebody else. Willie West has a book coming out.
Yes, he does.
What's the title of it?
Conversations with Rufus.
Conversation with Rufus by
Liquor Store Rufus.
Liquor Store Rufus. Okay.
Okay.
No, this is Brother Saul.
Okay.
And just by way of explaining who he is, both to and you,
Yes, please.
Brother Saul lives in Yazoo City, Mississippi, and is one of my daddy's oldest living friends.
Gotcha.
He must be close to about 100 now.
I guess so.
About 100. He's an ex-sharecropper, an ex-felon. He writes, I got to rough my voice up
Gotcha.
to imitate it.
Okay.
I've been framed twice because they needed somebody to grow some cotton on the jailhouse cotton field. He writes here in his Odie, I have written this poem, or whatever you might want to call it. I address it to whomever it might concern. The title of this thing is Y'all Crazy?
Oh.
That's what I said.
Legitimate poem. All right.
That's what
Okay.
Well, he says it's a poem or whatever. Now, I read it.
Okay.
And,
Please share.
okay, I have to put my glasses on
Okay.
because it takes more than glasses to read this. You have to get deeply into a psyche that asks some of the kind of things he asks, and he, I don't know how to explain this. You know, if you're looking for somebody who's being perfectly grammatic and so forth and so on, you might miss the point. I think in my first reading, I knew the man when I was a kid. You know, he was always one of my father's buddies hanging around. And I never thought about him as anyone who had any artistic talent or was deeply involved with politics or any of that.
You didn't know him personally, as you knew him as your father's friend.
As my father's friend. But then, as years went on, occasionally he would contact me when I had a book published or something, you know. I read that old Sweet Peter Dita, you know. Yeah, I knew Sweet Peter Dita. Well, I didn't know your sweet Peter D. I knew my sweet Peter D. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it brings us up all the way to this point. And I think what he's doing now is asking something very pertinent of both of us.
Oh, what's that?
I don't know yet. But here's his, he says, "Is y'all crazy?" I'm trying to imitate his speech pattern as closely as I can, because this is what you other wouldn't make any sense otherwise. Get a little bit more. What was that pineapple juice?
Yeah.
Has an afterbite to it. Is y'all crazy? Y'all must be crazy to even think that we're gonna allow y'all to prevent us from voting. After we have gone through all what we gone through to get to vote. Y'all must be crazy to even think that we would drop down to where you once put us, to be where you once had us, to prevent us from voting. We understand, we know with all of your incoherent, he makes a little dash between inco and herent. We understand, we know with all of your incoherent misunderstandings that you can prevent us from being, wait a minute, I missed that. We understand, we know with all of your incoherent misunderstandings of our history as well, that you might be freaked into misunderstanding that you cannot prevent us from doing what we bled to do, what we died to do. Y'all must be crazy to even think that we're gonna allow y'all to prevent us from voting. What kind of shit is this? After we've been through all the bleeding and the dying and all of the lynchings, the daily tortures, all of what you put in front of us to prevent us from being citizens of the greatest nation on earth, made with our enslaved labor.
Well put. Yeah.
Y'all must be crazy. Y'all must be crazy. Pick up an unredacted history book quick. Unredacted. He spelled redacted. Well, we'll get into that, but that's what it means. Right. Pick up an unredacted history book quick. Don't get tricked out by racist rhetoric. Don't wind up on the wrong side of your own history.
Thank you. On the wrong side of this, that's good.
Y'all must be crazy.
Got it.
To even think that we're gonna allow y'all to prevent us from voting. Open up your eyes to American history, not racist notions. That's all I'm saying. Y'all must be crazy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He gets it 3 times. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now, what he wants me to do is give him a critique. Oh, you shying away from it right now. You're not going to be able to back off like that.
It's not quite a poem,
he
but
says,
it's an opinion.
Okay.
I put it in the opinion section.
Okay,
editorial.
Let's.
Okay.
Well, first of all, if I were in a writing class of any sorts, I would like to say there's not really a coherent message here, aside from the
passionate message. It's a passionate message.
Yeah.
but not coherent.
So tell me about that, Zola. What's the difference between what you just said?
Passionate and coherent.
Yeah, passionate and coherent. Got you, girl. Oh yeah, come on with it.
Takes me back.
Passionate and coherent.
Takes me back to high school when I did a book report on Herman Melville.
What was that?
Herman Melville?
That whale guy.
Yeah. Okay.
What's it called? Moby Prick.
Yeah.
I mean Moby Dick.
Okay. And I can't even quite remember the book except he had gone to an island. He was with the girl, island girl. And so I dressed up as an island girl with the appropriate size wig and all that.
You did?
Yes, I did. In a little... And so I went into high school and I hadn't quite read the book. But I was passionate.
I can see that.
I was passionate about what I thought he must have experienced and how the native girls and the men must have reacted to him and blah, blah, blah. But bottom line is that I prepared to present myself, but I hadn't prepared to present the report. Makes a whole big difference. Though the teacher was so amused, also I'd even done a painting of him, okay, an oil painting of him. And so the instructor, she said, she gave me a B.
Oh, really?
She gave me a B. She said,
for your passion or for
my passion, for the preparation, for the outer preparation, the cover of the story, the book cover of the story. But she pulled me aside and said, you didn't read the book. And, you know, and I think she knew that my grandfather was a preacher. And she said that, you know, your delivery, your pronunciation, use of words, and everything was wonderful. It was right on point. But I wish you had read the book.
I never heard this before. I mean, but you know, you usually so detailed. Why didn't you read the book?
Something had happened. I forgot what had happened at home, and you know, somehow or another, I didn't get to reading the book. But you know, I knew this. You know, come Monday, I was assigned to do this book report, and so there's no time to finish reading the book. I think I read the beginning, the end, and I think I tried to get read a little bit of Cliff Notes on the book. But I had not read the substance that I needed.
Okay, you know.
So I was very passionate, but
I hear what you're saying, and I would apply what might constitute a critique to what Brother Saul is saying by saying one of the things he has done that a lot of people haven't done, he has read the book.
He has read the book.
And he might, in his passion, he might be coming off at it in a way that some people would think would be prejudicial. You know, is y'all crazy?
Right.
But at the same time, I think it's a legitimate question to be asked. If you read the book, the history that we're talking about, and you would be willing to try to prevent African Americans
a coup.
Okay, a voting coup, if you were willing to try to prevent African Americans and other people of color from voting, then it means that you haven't read the book. You've been influenced by somebody's acting, like.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Help me with this, because when I reply to him, I want to be honest. I want to say, I totally agree with you.
Right. Do not call this a poem.
But is it a poem?
It is not. I don't believe it's a poem.
Okay, it's not a poem.
I think it's a...
What would you call it?
Maybe an opinion or an editorial piece? Yeah, an opinion piece that you would send in to, you know, notes to the editor of the newspaper.
If you notice, he comes in with, "Y'all crazy," in different places, and that's supposed, I think, in his mind, make it a poem.
Okay.
But in between, it's very prosy.
Right. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know, I would send it into maybe, what's the book called? Glimmer Train, what is it? The magazine.
Some?
Well, we can send it to Sun. Sun
Which one
magazine.
are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about the one that did Elephant Nation.
That was Sun. They published that.
In Sun?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was Elephant Nation was published by Sun.
Oh, okay.
Iconoclast.
Iconoclast. Iconoclast.
I mean, Phil Wagner publishes that
right.
in New York. Okay. He might be interested in it, but one of the things that happens with I hate to say this, one of the things that happens with white editors who are being forced to pay attention to this particular kind of material, they get grammatical and start off saying things, well, is not the proper way to begin a sentence.
Well, I agree.
Is y'all crazy?
I agree with you, but as you pointed out, that if you don't do it as the author has placed it on the paper, then you do not do it within the cultural norms from which the culture comes from. Okay, you could read it as an Irish poem or something, an Irish thing, all right?
Okay, but why is it they might be willing to do it as an Irish poem and put all of the Irish things in it, but when you come to the African American idiom, especially from a certain kind of socio-economic class, they're reluctant to grant that some credence. They're reluctant to grant it any kind of legitimacy, put it that way.
It's always been this way. And we're trying for all the crabs in the barrel to work together and get out of the barrel.
That's a nasty kind of analogy. All the crabs in the barrel.
And we're trying not to pull each other down now. There are more of us. There are those who still want to pull us down. But I think there's more of us who are willing to say, if we're going to get out of this shit, if we're going to advance as a people.
Did you say?
Shit. Yes, we're not going to get over this shit.
You're becoming almost colloquial.
Okay. And advance as a people, not only as a black people, African American people, colored person, Negro, Asian, Indian, whatever, right? Yeah. Okay. If we, as people of color, are going to get a real piece of the pie.
Speak to me. I'm listening to you.
Not the smell of the pie, but a real piece of the pie, and have some of our dreams, be able to fulfill some of our dreams. Then we have got to work together so that people who think they're at the top will realize that you can't be at the top, forever and a day.
If there's anybody left behind.
We all have to be, it has to be an even playing field. Okay. And you'll find that it'll be much better for everybody concerned if it's an even playing field.
Why is that such a difficult concept for some people to grasp? I don't want to name names or say races.
I just think it's a thing of the inferiority of some people, that they want to stand on the backs of other people to make themselves taller.
You say inferiority. Does that mean
they have an inferiority complex that they're not in tune with? And that, that if you have to stand on the backs of other people to make you feel good,
that makes you
very low.
Maybe it would make you a narcissist. What do you call it? An incessant narcissist or symbiotic narcissist.
Right. Well, things called, you've done it this way for over 400 years. Try doing it our way. Okay? And we are rather, Asians, African Americans, people of color.
Strange kind of mixture.
Well, people of color tend to be very compassionate, tend to not
Why
to be.
Why is that?
Because we're human beings.
Well, what are the other people?
They're working at it.
I'm going to tell on you. Is y'all crazy? I understand.
And I'm not saying that all African Americans, all Asians, all Indians have the human understanding and passion to work with each other. You know, there are white people that also want to work, and they want, look at the marches, look at, throughout the years.
Okay, but you know what? I've been reading. I've been watching a program called Black Trinidad.
Okay.
And they talk about racism in so-called Latin America and how the racial problem is going on there. For example, we're up to a kind of tricky situation happening in Cuba. It seems that the Cubans are becoming very distressed with what their government doing and so forth and so on. And I started looking back past Marco Rubio and what's the guy who went to Cancun when
Ted Cruz.
Ted Ooze. And some other very fair-skinned Cubans, still Cubans, but fair-skinned Cubans, and how they failed to dig into and relate to what was happening with the masses of the Cuban people who are black. People don't know that. All the information that we seem to be getting come from the top. The president is a white guy. Under Castro, who was a white guy.
Yeah.
Who was a white guy. There was some tolerance for the Afro-Cuban religions. There was a tolerance and sort of a boosting of the Afrocentric behavior, Afrocentricity in the Cuban population. And then somewhere along the line it got tamped down so that, did you know, they don't even want to talk about African Cuban history in Cuba? Okay, we think we got a problem.
Right.
We got a problem, no doubt about it. When they get to the point where they say, well, we don't want to try to explain how African Americans became African Americans. Well, then you have to abolish the history of America.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we made this place.
Yeah.
Willingly or unwillingly, this is it.
Right.
But when you start reading about the Cuban thing, and the Venezuelan thing, and the Colombian thing, and the Panamanian thing, and people don't realize that you got Africans who are like linchpins in each one of these societies, and we come all the way up to or down to where we are now, and you wonder why, and you realize that, oh, okay, I see it. The Europeans who came, who attained dominance in the Americas, decided to create a race called the white race. Prior to that, they were Europeans, the Swedes and Germans and Spanish and this and that. So by creating a white race, it meant that you could have people who would consider themselves inferior because they had bigger guns, or they had guns, fighting against people who had bows and arrows, which swept the Sioux off to the side, gave you an opportunity to import the African slave laborers. And I'm not going to be kind to the Africans who sold us to chattel slavery. They said to me in Ghana, oh, we did not know they were taking you off into chattel slavery. We never had that. We had slavery. The Ashantis enslaved the Fantis enslaved the Ga enslaved the Nsema, and so forth and so forth and so on. But it was no chattel slavery. Yeah.
Right.
It meant that if you could serve a certain period of time, boy, you might marry the king's daughter.
Really?
Yeah. But not here. You couldn't serve no period of time. The white guy, on the other hand, might serve 7 years in indentured slavery.
Okay, right.
And at the end of 7 years, the owner might give him a bag of a bushel of corn, and his daughter's hand.
Okay.
So he might, in the next generation, rise up to being a low middle class farmer, and so forth and so on. Anyway, all this stuff is detailed in Michelle Wallace's New Jim Crow and some
Okay,
other
what's
books.
the book that you're reading now, though?
Excuse me?
What's the book that you're reading now?
Oh, the book I'm reading now. Oh, man. Landslide. Well, I could take you through Donald Trump. I could take you through the first book, Unhinged. I'm looking over at the bookcase there. Unhinged with Miss Amorosa's first thing at it. Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff.
I enjoyed that one.
Fears by Bob Woodward. And on until we get up to Landslide. And they're just simply saying, one of the things I like about Wolff is he comes out straight up and says, the man is crazy. The man that those people elected were crazy. Those people, those white people who wanted to retain ascendancy, who wanted to retain power over the population, decided we would rather have a madman in charge than share equal power with the people who are now demographically becoming the minority, the majority.
Right, yeah.
So they did what they did. They made a deal with the devil, and the devil is still there. He's hanging out at Mar-a-Lago.
Enough politics, I guess.
So let me say this before we come to an end, because
got things to do.
We can't.
Let's go. You can see.
This is from Brother Saul in Yazoo City, Mississippi. One of my daddy's oldest living friends. He must be close to 100 now. He's an ex-sharecropper, an ex-felon. He says, I've been framed twice because they needed somebody to grow some cotton on the jailhouse cotton field. He writes, Odie, I have written this poem, or whatever you might want to call it. I address it to whomever it might concern. The title of this thing is Y'all Crazy. Okay, now he asked us to give him a critique. I'm going to read this thing one more time real quick before we get out of here so y'all won't think we crazy. All right. Is y'all crazy? Y'all must be crazy to even think that we are going to allow y'all to prevent us from voting. After we have gone through all of what we've gone through to get to the vote, y'all must be crazy to even think that we would drop down to where you once put us, to be where you once had us, to prevent us from voting. We understand, we know, with all of your I love the way I have to separate, incoherent, all of y'all incoherent misunderstanding of our history, that you might be freaked into misunderstanding that you can prevent us, you cannot prevent us from doing what we bled to do, what we died to do. Y'all must be crazy to even think that we're going to allow y'all to prevent us from voting. After we've been through all the bleeding and the dying and all of the lynchings, the daily tortures, all of what you put in front of us to prevent us from being citizens of the greatest country on earth.
Yes, indeed.
Made with our enslaved labor.
Hello.
Y'all must be crazy. Do I look crazy? Y'all must be crazy.
That's crazy enough. Indeed, I am going to trust you to respond to your father's friend.
Okay.
With all due respect. And tell him that we did find his point of view interesting.
That's all I'm saying. Y'all must be crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? 3 times. And I really appreciate you being patient enough to bear with me and to be willing to give him the kind of honest critique that I know you're going to give him. I got a return envelope here that he sent with a stamp on it. So we got. I'm going to leave it on you because I ain't going to get into that. All I'm going to say to him, I'm crazy too. There.
No, you're not.
That's what I'm going to do. My wife is semi-crazy.
Not certifiable.
Is that in the script? Is that in the
But you have to understand that when you have a mate, you have a partner, husband-wife relationship, whatever, that you like to have the yin and yang thing. But just as with the symbol, Tai Chi symbol, there's a bit of me and you, and a bit of you and me.
I love you, so
that we both just a bit crazy, but in a good way.
Well, now, having said that, we're going to
fly the coop.
We're going to fly the coop. We're going to get out of here. And I'm going to have a piece of
key lime pie.
Key lime pie. How did you guess?
Because part of me is in you, part of me is in you.
Hey, be crazy with me, because that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it.
Hope you find
Alfred.
No, yeah.
Itness. Zola. Itness.
And I hope you find someone to be crazy with that is not too crazy, but a yin and yang thing.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Or that you have one. All right. Gotta go. Thank you, Odie. I enjoyed this moment in time. And y'all must be crazy.